Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this podcast, Igniting Excellence, the IAFC CSU Partnership in Fire Service Education. My name is David Becker. I'm a retired chief that I'm doing some contract work for the International Association of Fire Chiefs as the acting director of the Training and Education Department. Today, I'm here with Keith Padgett, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Keith Padgett. I'm currently the academic program director for Columbia Southern University over their fire and EMS degree programs. It's a great opportunity for me to be here with David today and discuss a lot of new things happening with the International.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things to talk about today. We're gonna kind of cover a variety of topics related to training and education, new training and education that the IFC is working on in partnership with Columbia Southern University, and so we're going to kind of get into a little bit of the background information and kind of how this came about, and then really just kind of talk about what is being worked on at the present time, and then what we kind of see for the future. So we'll kind of go back and forth and have different ideas and things that we want to share with you today. So,
David, let's talk about the history of the Officer Development Program, if that's okay. You know, I've been a member of the Association of the International Association of Fire Chiefs, of course, for a little over 20 years. And I served as a board member of the Safety, Health, and Survival section for 7 years. Well, during that time, I had the opportunity to sit on the program planning committee that helped develop the curriculum and the presentations for Fire Rescue International. And during that time, let me say maybe 15 years ago, I guess, there was an effort put forth to bring more company officer members into the section, or I'm sorry, into the association overall, and they made an effort to develop a company officer leadership symposium. And that's where the Coles, if you're familiar with Coles 1 and Coles 2 and Coles 3, that's where that Coles came from. And of course, that has moved into chiefs and executive chief. And, it's been a great program. It currently has the company officer has 3 levels, and then the chief officer has 2, and the executive has 2. But we'll get into more. That's going to expand into 3 for the chief and 3 for the executive chief as we move forward. But that's kind of give us a little bit of background on the ODP, Officer Development Program, as it sits currently.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. And I think, one of the things that we really want to kind of highlight with this is that this strategic partnership between the IFC and Columbia Southern University came about with regards to the board strategic initiative plan that was developed back in 2021, actually, with some guidelines and some efforts to work on some things in 2023, 24, and 25. If you haven't seen that strategic initiative plan, you should go to the IFC website and look it up. Specifically, there's a section in there. Goal 2 is about educate, and there's about 6 key initiatives that is really what kind of drove this partnership together to kind of look at how we could approach education and how we could approach the efforts of the training and the education that goes on that the IFC provides on so many levels, and trying to work on that from a little bit more of an educational focus rather than a training focus. Obviously, the IFC does a lot of training with regards to Fire Rescue International and the different conferences that it provides throughout the year. But we wanted to be able to kind of be able to give some credence to the education that people are doing, and how could we potentially do that. So there was some meetings held, and we had a collaboration of kind of what's the IFC looking for, and what could Columbia Southern provide for us. So it's kind of unique in the fact that, and we'll get into a little bit more about the specifics of the different training and things, but it's really a step forward with regards to training and education. It's trying to provide some consistency, some credible education based on based on the education principles that you see in professional development, and really this is kind of the core of this is professional development. So.
Yeah, David, as when CSU saw the board's initiative and the strategic plan, we approached the board and Rob through the association to say, hey, we know that you and the board want to move into online learning, in which we've done that for over 30 years, so we're very familiar with that. We have the platform, we have all the infrastructure that's required to do that continuously. So we approached the board and said, hey, look, we'd like to become the ODP, educational partner for the IAFC, and that's how we kind of got involved. But I kind of want to touch on a little bit of things that are available for the members of the association and their families. Here at CSU, we've offered a 15% discount to all members of the association and their family members toward any kind of degree program. So that's available. But kind of getting back to the online piece is we offer anything from associates all the way to a doctoral program, and it's totally online. So it makes it very easy and user friendly for either a career member or a volunteer member to gain that education. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the degree programs, but I just wanted the members to be aware of that. There is that 15% discount available to all members and their families. So, just wanted to say something about that briefly.
Thanks, Keith. The other thing I would encourage you all to do is, if you're listening or watching this podcast, is go out to the IFC website and look at the media releases. On August the 14th, while we were at Fire Rescue International in Kansas City, Columbia Southern's leadership came together with the leadership of the International Association of Fire Chiefs and signed this collaborative agreement, this memorandum of understanding. And so there's a press release, there's a media release that was released there in Kansas City that talks really about the two key areas that we're going to get into and talk a little bit about with regard to the officer development program, the leadership development. There's a certification series, and there's going to be a symposium series. And so the difference between the two of those, kind of what how that's going forward and how that's going to look in the future for education.
Let's kind of dive into a little bit of the details of the certification series initially, David. Can we do that? Does that sound all right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. There's 3 levels of the ODP at the moment, the Officer Development Program. And initially there was the Coles level, which we were referring to as the company officer level, and it has 3 different components. And we're referring to those now as courses. And they will be offered in a hybrid model. We'll go into a little bit of more detail about that in just a few minutes, but a hybrid model of an online piece for company officer 1, 2, and 3 that will consist of 8 units per course, and we refer to those at CSU as a micro credential course. And each unit will cover a specific area topic. Historically, it's been like operations at the company officer level, health and wellness, community risk reduction, that community engagement piece, and each one of those will be described as units. So that kind of gives a little bit, but then as we move forward into the chief's level, the chief will be now made up of 3 courses that will be expanding from a current 2, and then the executive chief will move into 3 levels as well, or 3 courses, I'm sorry, with each one having 8 units. David, you want to expand on that some?
Yeah, and so really this was we looked at this when we were talking, when the IFC was talking to Columbia Southern about, we wanted to be able to offer this really in a couple of formats. And so certainly the online format provides a great deal of flexibility for those departments that can't afford to send everybody to FRI, or just whether they can afford it or not, that what people that can come to FRI or they can't, the online piece would actually kind of provide a additional resource for fire departments to be able to get officer training, do officer development. And they're really based around those specific areas, and we kind of took a look at from a fire officer standpoint. We looked at some of those key areas, and so in each of the courses, they're going to have that consistent piece. The online piece. So, just for an example, if you came to FRI this year under this new system, so let's say next year, and so 2024, you send some people and they come and they take Company Officer 1. Well, they'd have to wait 2 more years to be able to get 2 and 3 under the old system. Now, if they're wanting to continue their professional development, they don't really want to wait, the department doesn't want them to wait, they could actually go online and complete 2 or 3. And the same way with and I think that one of the good flexibilities about this is you don't have to take them in order. So you don't have to take 1 before you take 2, or you don't have to take 2 before you take 3. So it's just whatever order you want, you can do that. You'll still have the opportunity to come back to FRI and do some training, but in order to get this certification, and if you're interested in getting a college for what you're doing, for the work that you're going to do, these are going to provide a really good option for you.
Let's talk about the college credit right quick. The college credit would be 1 credit hour transferred into any degree program here at CSU per course. So if you're looking across all 3 levels, you're looking at 9 total college credits available to any member that decides that they want to go through the program. Now, and I got to put, there's a caveat to it too. From this point forward, if you go through 1 course, let's just take Company Officer 1, for example, and you sit through all 8 units, either online in the hybrid model or at Fire Rescue International or a division, or like such Missouri Valley or the Southeastern, if it's offered there, and you sit through all of this, there's going to be a 25 question examination that you'll take online in Blackboard, our learning management system here at CSU, that will just validate learning has occurred. And to obtain that college credit, that's just something that I have to be able to defend and validate that the student has retained and understood, in its way of measuring that learning has occurred again. So, but that's out there, and that's an opportunity. David, let's talk briefly about how the course would, like Company Officer 1, would occur at Fire Rescue. We had talked about over a couple of days there would be units taught, which are normally referred to as workshops. That would be a 90-minute workshop per topic. And we can go to the company officer and say, if it's a community risk reduction topic, there would be that 90-minute workshop that would be taught at FRI. And then there might be a general topic taught that afternoon, and maybe the next day there might be a health and safety, firefighter wellness, or something like that taught the next day. So let's kind of briefly talk about. Can you explain some of that?
Yeah. So Keith, talking about Fire Rescue International, with regards to the certification series, the plan is, going forward, is that all of the 9 courses would be offered and within each of those, 6 of the 8 units would be offered in person at Fire Rescue International. So, and we'll just talk about, let's just use for an example, Company Officer 1. So those 6 classes would be 90 minutes. Particularly ODP at FRI has been over 3 days. So there might be a 90-minute class before lunch, a 90-minute class after lunch. on those 3 days for ODP, giving the attendee the opportunity to obviously be able to attend other courses and classes and workshops that are going on at FRI. So you take those 6 courses, you complete those 6 courses there. And like you said, Keith, there's 2 more courses. So of the 6 of the 8 would be offered in person. And then after that, they would log in to Blackboard. They'd take the units 7 and 8, and then they'd have to take that exam. And so if you want to talk just a little bit about kind of what we're looking at with regards to that.
The 6 units being taught there at Fire Rescue or a division, like we mentioned, the Southeastern or Missouri Valley or wherever it might be, Western. So they would take those 6 workshops units there covering topics, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of outline a little bit of the topics. The topics we're moving because, again, with credit, is we're going to outline 4 outcomes per unit. So when the student completes that unit, that workshop, they will be able to walk away to say that the student will be able to, or will have been instructed in that area to walk away with those outcomes. But we're giving that academic freedom is the term that we're using to the instructor. When they come in, they might be, and I always say I've got a close chief that's a friend of mine that's very good in bus extrication. So if he's going to teach a health and safety, he might have that topic, but he's going to cover those 4 learning objectives or unit outcomes, learning outcomes during that course, so that way we can validate learning occurred through that examination at the end. And we're going to make it very user friendly, that there'll be an opportunity to review if they need to before they take the exam, and it's going to be like a 25 multiple question, multiple choice exam to make it user friendly as we possibly can, as we possibly can, but we also have to validate learning occurred. So I got in briefly into that, but after those 6 units or workshops are taken at FRI, they will log into Blackboard on CSU's website, actually go and take that 7 and 8, as you mentioned earlier, and then take that exam at the end. And that will just wrap up the certification series for that individual course. Does that help kind of explain it some?
Yeah, well, it does. And I think that for attendees, again, it gives you a little bit more flexibility with regards to this education. You're not going to take, it's not going to take 3 years to complete Coles or chief officer or executive chief officer. You're going to be able to go in and do those all online too. So that if you took it online, you'd take all 8 units online and then take the quiz.
Sure.
And so I think that again, from a consistency standpoint, and certainly there will be courses built into Blackboard for each of those topics that would roughly end up being similar to taking that 90-minute in-person class. And so that's kind of FRI. I do want to stress too that because we've had divisions in the past that wanted to deliver ODP at a division conference or at a state fire chiefs conference. And so they'll still have that opportunity to be able to do that too. Again, but it's going to be a little bit more along the lines of each one of these courses. Let's say you want to do a Chiefs 2 class. You would have to do 6 of those 90-minute courses during the conference in order to be able to then allow the students that attended to be able to go and take unit 7 and 8 online and then the quiz. So it's gonna offer that instead of taking random classes or random topics, this is going to be a little bit more scheduled.
You bring up a really good point, David, because the consistency piece will be there. So if you take Coles 1, for example, we keep using that Coles 1 or company officer 1 initially at FRI, and then you have, as a fire chief, you have 3 other lieutenants or company officers in your department that you would like for them to take company officer 1. When they log in, if they do that online, like a month or 2 after fire rescue, say in October, he sent a lieutenant, he or she is pretty happy with the outcomes, and would like for the rest of his lieutenants in that department to do that, he can do that totally online. And the consistency piece will be those topics will be the same, and the course learning outcomes or the unit learning outcomes will be identical. So the outcomes, what they will learn, or the topic will be the same. So that consistency, and we hope to do that year to year. And there will be a course revision occasionally based on, you know, current trends, topics change, new technology. Of course, that'll advance over years to come. But consistency is the key here, and I think that's paramount as we move forward.
Excuse me. Yeah, Keith. And I think that one of the other pieces of this is because we're looking at this from, and kind of on the left-hand side there, it talks about accessible, qualifiable, credible as some of the key terms with regards to this officer development. One of the things that we're looking at is having vetted instructors. So from the on person or the on-site delivery, we want to make sure that people that have offered to teach or that we have reached out to teach has the background. It's kind of like if you're teaching in college, you have to be vetted in order to be able to teach that class. And so, and I use myself as a perfect example is I was never a company officer. I was a chief officer for 15 years, but I was never a company officer. So somebody like me would not be really qualified to come in and teach company officers. And so we're going to look at a vetting process for all the instructors, for whether it's at FRI or whether it's at the regional deliveries or divisions or states or whatever. We're just going to, again, just from that validity standpoint of the education, we just want to be able to make sure that we've got the documentation in all the training for the validation of the award of the degree.
Yeah, yeah, and you and I in this conversation, we keep talking about company officer, but we're gonna change these topics up a little bit. Historically, they've been kind of generic in the fire service, but like the executive officer, we're gonna talk about public health integration and pandemic preparedness, strategic communications and crisis leadership, fire service research and innovation, mental health advocacy. We're gonna raise the bar per se across the program, because we really do as a university, and I know the IAFC feels the same way. We're developing future leaders, and we need to mentor those people. And so we're going to bring chief officers that have a lot of experience, as you mentioned, vetting our faculty, company officers that have a lot of experience vetting those instructors to teach those workshops, to make sure that we're doing that correctly, and back to the consistency piece, that they're mastering and those objectives as we move along. Yeah, it's gonna be a great program. I'm really excited about it.
So the other part of this, the other piece of this officer development program was a leadership development symposium series. And this was, we looked at this for other classes that we could deliver at FRI, or let's say, again, if there's a division or a state, or just even a regional fire training agency that wants to do this and call it officer development. And we're going to look at the place that is going to hold this is going to submit to us a course description, some course learning objectives that they plan for that course. And the only difference in this is that the symposium series is not a part of the degree aspect of it. And so this is really more of a certificate, kind of a certificate of attendance in company officer. And so it may be items that, like a refresher, if say someone's been a company officer for a number of years, and there's courses that are offered that are just kind of, an update on some of the things that they should know, or they should be thinking about. And so really these are the other courses that we'll look to see, and some of these will be provided. One of the goals of the strategic initiative plan was to really get the divisions and the sections more involved in providing training and education. And so we're going to be looking to reach out to each of the divisions and the sections to provide speaking topics and different courses and workshops that we could do at FRI, or that, again, they could be done regionally. And so that piece of it, the IFC, once we go through a kind of a vetting process of an approval not really a vetting, but really more of an approval process for those courses. And then the IFC will award a certificate to people that attend those workshops. We're still kind of in the development phase, and so I would just tell you that as we get more into this, there's certainly going to be more information available on the website. But those of you that are listening to the podcast, the graphic that we talked about with the certification series and the symposium series should be up on the website, and you should be able to take a look at those to be able to and again, if you have questions about that, we'll post some stuff on there so for you to reach out. If you got a question about that, you can reach out to me or someone at the IFC. So I'd like to summarize just for a minute. Some of the key to this is really this is an exciting opportunity for us to achieve what Brett is looking for with regards to a strategic initiative plans on the education piece of this. We're actually moving faster probably than they thought we were going to be able to do. And so the goal to have these online classes for ODP and to be able to provide education credit for that is already in place. The biggest thing with this, I think, is the accessibility. With moving to this online format for ODP, again, rather than just have to wait an entire year to take other classes, students are going to be able to kind of work at their own pace and kind of help with their own professional development. And so I really like this opportunity for us as we build this opportunity, as we build the educational programs. It's going to really provide some consistent, qualifiable, credible education with regards to the professional development for the fire service.
Yeah, David, thanks for the opportunity today. It was good talking with you and kind of covering the ODP and our journey forward. So, CSU, Columbia Southern is very excited about it and the partnership for many years.
Yeah, I think this partnership, it really does represent a remarkable step forward in fire service education. It's both organizations have made a commitment to empower and educate fire service professionals. We hope that this podcast kind of raised your awareness on kind of what's coming down the road and some of the exciting education that the IFC and Columbia Southern is going to provide together. So thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing the positive impact that this is going to have, and we look forward to getting some feedback and anything as we go forward with regards to this. We're open to suggestions and we want your input. So we'll have a way for you to be able to get a hold of us based on the information that's posted on the IFC website. So thanks for joining us, and everybody have a great day.